She was Rome's most powerful woman, minted on coins across the empire, yet her own husband tried to erase her from history. This is the story of Empress Vibia Sabina, born around 83 AD, and married to Hadrian at just 17. By 128 she was crowned Augusta, her face stamped on a continuous series of coins that circulated through every province. To the public eye, she embodied honor and influence. But the honors were ceremonial, while ancient writers hint at a life marked by neglect, humiliation, and silence. How could an empress whose image was everywhere end up sidelined and shrouded in rumor? To understand, we must begin at her wedding. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because more hidden stories from the past are coming, and you won't want to miss them. The marriage of Vibia Sabina to Hadrian in the year 100 was not a love match, but a calculated arrangement. She was about 17, the grandniece of Emperor Trajan, and her lineage carried enormous political weight. Ancient accounts describe how Empress Plotina, Trajan's wife, actively supported the marriage, ensuring that Hadrian, her favored candidate for succession, could strengthen his claim to power through marriage into the imperial family. In this sense, Sabina was less a bride and more a vehicle for power. Writers in the biographical tradition, including the Historia Augusta, describe the marriage as one of political necessity rather than personal affection. The lack of children only reinforced this perception. In Roman eyes, an empress without heirs embodied a fragile dynasty, and whispers of distance between husband and wife never fully faded. Still, the marriage brought ceremonial prominence. In 128, Sabina was awarded the title of Augusta, elevating her status within public life even as her private world remained constrained. Her visibility was most striking on coinage. Sabina became the first Roman empress to appear in a regular and continuous series of coins minted at the capital itself. Early issues present her with youthful features, while later portrait types show a shift toward more formalized authority, reflecting her status rather than her inner life. Each coin reinforced her position as a cornerstone of Hadrian's rule, even if her influence stayed within symbolic bounds. What fragments survive from the imperial household also suggest strain. The Historia Augusta preserves an anecdote where Hadrian dismissed the historian Suetonius for what was described as overly familiar behavior towards Sabina, a rare glimpse of her presence becoming a flashpoint within palace politics. That same source also preserves harsher rumors that Sabina herself declared she would rather die than go on living with Hadrian, and that she counted it a blessing never to have borne him a child. Whether these words were truly hers, or gossip sharpened after the fact, they paint a picture of a marriage where estrangement was no secret. Her role was official, her honors ceremonial, but her position as wife and Augusta did not guarantee affection. Soon, another figure would claim Hadrian's devotion, in a way Sabina never could. By the early 120s, a new presence in Hadrian's entourage began drawing attention. A young Greek companion named Antinous, while Sabina carried the title of Augusta from 128, and her image appeared steadily in imperial coinage. Antinous traveled openly with the emperor, joining him across the provinces in a role that eclipsed the empress's ceremonial visibility. The contrast emerges most clearly during Hadrian's Egyptian journey in 130. There, the court poet Julia Balbila recorded epigrams carved into monuments, describing Sabina as beautiful and praising her presence beside the emperor. Yet the historical record shows where the focus of Hadrian's affections truly lay. Antinous drowned mysteriously in the Nile that same year, and the emperor's grief reshaped the landscape of the empire. Hadrian ordered a new city, Antinopolis, to be founded near the death site. Temples dedicated to the deified youth began to rise, and statues of Antinous appeared from Athens to North Africa. Honors of this scale were usually reserved for members of the imperial family, but in this case, they were lavished on Hadrian's favorite rather than his wife. Meanwhile, Sabina remained bound to rigid forms of protocol. The Historia Augusta records that Hadrian dismissed his secretary Suetonius over conduct said to involve informal treatment of the empress. Ancient commentators pointed to this as proof of the strict etiquette enforced around her, even as Hadrian flaunted his own attachments without restraint. The imbalance could hardly have been clearer. Reverence demanded in form, neglect shown in practice. Later traditions suggest that Sabina and Hadrian lived apart in their final years, with some accounts placing her at the imperial villa in Tivoli, possibly separated from the center of power. Whether literal exile or distance by convenience, her role in the emperor's household grew increasingly marginal. Yet even in this strained position, her image kept spreading through coinage, the official emblem of an empress whose true authority was hollow. Those coins and monuments would outlast her life, but soon the question of her death, and her husband's response to it, would reshape her legacy forever. Sabina's life came to a close in 136 or early 137 AD. Ancient writers give conflicting accounts. Some suggest Hadrian treated her harshly, while later traditions even hint she may have been driven to despair. Others present him as respectful toward her memory. The truth is uncertain, and historians still debate how her final years unfolded. What is clear is Hadrian's public response. He ordered Sabina to be officially worshipped as a goddess, not necessarily out of love, but because it was expected for an empress of her rank. He commissioned a relief showing her rising into the heavens, a political image of her becoming divine, which survives today in the Capitoline museums. She became one of the most depicted imperial women of her age, her portrait stamped on coins and monuments long after her voice was gone. Her face survived in bronze and silver. Her story survives only in fragments and rumor. Do you think Sabina was a sidelined victim, or a ceremonial figure expected to be silent? Tell us what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this ancient story, please consider subscribing to our channel for more tales from the past. Thanks for watching.